Right. Good evening, everyone. I am joined this evening by two lovely ladies. So I have got Katie Shanahan and Lorna Burge with me on this webinar just to celebrate International Women's Day and to celebrate fantastic ladies that we have within agriculture. Right. There we go. Please feel free to kind of drop questions in as we go on. We can, answer them as we go, or there'll be a chance at the end anyway. But this evening is mainly just to celebrate the fantastic women that we have in our agriculture industry here in the UK and in Ireland. And it's just a chance for these ladies to share their story, kind of what they've been doing, what their farms are like, and what their lives are like, really. So yeah, please do ask questions as you go. I am Mel, or Melody Griffith. I'm the UK Growth Manager here at Herdwatch. But yeah, let's get into it. We've lost Katie, because you've gone to put the dog out.
Sorry, there was the puppy. She had to start now. She couldn't wait 20 minutes.
But Lorna, if I can just grab you for a second,
Okay.
if you might want to introduce yourself, kind of where are you from, and what your kind of background is.
So I'm Lorna and I'm a dairy farmer from Devon. Just turned 40, which I'm starting to be able to say without wincing too much. And we've got two tenanted dairy farms. So my husband's always been in dairy farming. He's from a dairy farming family. And in 2017, we decided to try and get our own tenancies. And that meant we moved down from Somerset down to Devon. And 18 months later, we were approached by our landlord to ask us if we wanted to take on a second unit. So we thought, well, we may as well. And so we did. So we've got block calving dairy herds. So we have a spring block calving herd on one farm, which is 200 animals on about 160 to 170 acres. And then we've got 100 autumn calvers on the other farm, which is an 85-acre farm. So yeah, it keeps us busy, but not too busy. Yeah. And then we've got 3 young kids as well. So
exactly, yeah. I met 2 of them earlier, but you're in the middle of calving at the moment as well, aren't you? So
yes, literally, we are slap bang in the middle. So we are 108 calved. Our official start date was the 22nd of Feb, but we actually started a week earlier. So it's been really manic, to be honest.
Yeah. Busy. And what about your background then? So are you from a farm yourself?
No.
No, right. Okay.
No, I said that a bit quick, didn't I? No, my only ag link is that my great uncle was a sheep farmer up in the northeast. But no, I started milking cows at 19 and decided to go to uni to do agriculture. Started working for the neighbouring farmer and just got obsessed with milking cows, really. And then I went off after my degree and I worked for an ag engineering company that did all concrete products and did slurry stores and stuff. Did that for quite a number of years. And then I went and worked in a family-run abattoir for 6 or 7 years and then had kids. And then, and then we ended up coming down to Devon.
Brilliant. So, but what got you into it to begin with then? What made you go, I'm going to go milk
I don't really know. I'd always had a thing about dairy cows. And I like the idea of being a farm vet, but I didn't quite get the grades I needed. And I thought, well, maybe I'll go off and do ag and then I'll come back to veterinary science at a later date. And I just never bothered. Quite happy doing what I was doing. So it was all good fun.
Yeah. What do you enjoy the most then on the farm? What's your favourite sort of either time of year or favourite?
I like it when the cows are out. So like with the spring calving herd, they're all about 500 kilo animals. And so we can achieve a sort of an 8-month grazing period for them. Because I just really hate scraping shit, to be honest with you. I hate doing yard work. It's It's my least favorite job. I like it when they're out in the field and I can just sort of like walk away from them for the rest of the day. That's what I like, really. But I don't know. We've got quite a simple system, and it's good because the kids can get involved as well. You know, they can join in and they can come out and be with us like on weekends and in the holidays and stuff. They can be involved as much as they want, basically. So it's quite nice from that point of view, really. So yeah, we just do what works, really, to be honest.
Do they enjoy it as well, do they?
Yeah. One of them is obsessed with tractors, one loves milking cows, and one of them, if you want something fixing, finding, or something to do it, she'll go off and do it. So we seem to have everything covered between the three of them, really.
Yeah, no, yeah, you've definitely got that in. Any sort of other hobbies then? What do you do kind of if you have a spare evening or some time to yourself?
This is probably not the week to be asking that.
No, that really isn't, is it?
No, I've got a dog. I've got a collie, Ben. So yeah, going out and just being able to walk him is like my downtime, basically. Especially if I can get off farm for like an hour or so and take him somewhere different. It just really helps me out. And I read a lot in the evenings, and that's about it, really, to be honest with you. That is all I have time for.
Yeah, you've got some beautiful, well, yeah, Devon's beautiful anyway. Are you quite far from the beach, or?
No, 25 minutes. So like in the summer, we can just get done in the evening, and then we can like pack the kids up into the car, go down to the beach for the evening, have a bit of downtime with them. So, and it seems like a bit of an adventure then as well, because it's which beach should we pick this week. So
exactly.
We've got a good choice.
And what kind of got you into social media? So you're I suppose on an Instagram journey, but what kind of got you involved in that?
I started following some people on Facebook because I was always on Facebook, but I started following a few accounts on there, and then I realized they were on Instagram. And then when I joined Instagram, I realized that maybe there was just more people kind of using their account in a more specialist way. Yeah. So I found a lot of farming people who are using their account not to talk about, day-to-day family relationship stuff, but purely to talk about farming. And I started to follow some really, really good accounts. And yeah, I sort of played around with it for about a year on and off, working out how it worked and everything, and how to put together sensible posts. And then, so now it's a case of like Facebook is for like family and friends and stuff to do with kids and everything and home life. And Instagram is for the farm and for what we're doing, from a farming point of view as well. So I've kind of used it to kind of separate my life out a little bit. The kids occasionally feature on Instagram, but that's more like during the school holidays when they've actually done some things, like if they've gone to market with us and they've helped sell the calves and all that kind of thing. But it's not about general kind of, life. It is about the farm. And I think, it's so many people are using social media now. There was a fact that came out at Dairy Tech the other week. It's something like the average 15-year-old scrolls 100 meters of social media reels within 5 minutes or something crazy, because they're literally just scrolling. And it's like, well, if they're just scrolling but they land on a video where they actually learn something, then that's not a bad thing. So it's kind of trying to tap into that audience as well, of the ones that are sort of wanting to find out more about where the food comes from and other things that we've got going on. So
interesting. We'll fascinating fact, to be fair. Like a mile, that's no wonder people's thumbs get wonky now.
But it is, it is the way people are finding out things. I went to Positive Farmers back in January, and they were talking about how, like, we've got like a whole generation of people coming up, and they're not bothered about facts, they're not bothered about evidence. All they're bothered about is what they see like on a 15 to 30 second video on social media. That's where they're getting their information from. That's how they're making a buying choice or a lifestyle choice. That's how they're doing it now. They don't want to do proper research into things. It's like what appears on their newsfeed. So it's trying to tap into that audience and trying to get, you know, food and farming in front of those people, really, if possible.
Yeah, no, kind of, yeah, well, I'd agree with it. And if it's not on Facebook or if it's not on Instagram, that's not true, surely. Which is, yeah, it can be, yeah, well, you can land yourself in some trouble there, but right, Katie, I'm going to come over to you now. So yeah, if you want to give me some sort of background, where you're from. You obviously got quite a different accent to Lorna.
Yeah.
And yeah, what kind of, yeah, what do you have at home?
So I'm from Cork, which is down the very bottom of Ireland. And so here we have sheep and beef and horses and everything in between. But I suppose my main interest on the farm would be the sheep. So farming goes back a long way in my family. It comes both sides. So growing up as a child, I was definitely just thrown into it, you know, but I enjoyed it, going out every day. I have 3 brothers, out with them all the time, going to the marsh with dad. Just different things like that. We're very much a family run farm here. So we wouldn't have any outside workers coming in or anything like that. It's strictly just our own family. We have our boyfriends and girlfriends helping us out as well. So definitely my whole thing would be family farming on a smaller scale then.
And you're right in the middle of lambing, or near on the end actually, aren't you?
Yeah, actually, yeah, nearly towards the end of it. So because we have pedigree Shirley sheep, we start the start of January. So yeah, we started with all breeds back then. So that feels like ages ago now. Yeah, and it does. So they're all finished, and then we move on to the commercial sheep then. So we're coming to the end of them now. So it'll be nice to finish up and not have to worry about sheep lambing outside or anything going wrong until next year again.
And how's it gone in general? Has it been okay? You've been
good,
you're
yeah.
aren't you?
Yeah, so like, you know, like I said, we're a family farm. All of us either have jobs or are in my youngest brother's in college. And then my other 2 brothers are also working full-time as well. And my mom is working full-time. So that's why we need to kind of juggle it together to try and successfully operate the farm. And it's great because some of them work nights as well. So if they're up checking the camera. So we got the cameras last year, which was, if I can recommend anything in farming, is to get cameras. They literally saved us so many times, even if there's no one at home. I think I made a comment when I first put them in to my dad that if I was in, you know, Australia, I could check the cameras and I'd be able to see if something was lambing at home in Ireland. So no, they definitely really helped us this season.
Yeah, it's kind of, that's for Lorna as well. She's in the middle of looking at her carving camera.
The realities of it.
What do you enjoy the most? What gives you the most satisfaction, I suppose, out of the farm?
Well, I suppose when it was really lockdown so I was always working. I came out of college and I went into social care, and I was working full-time and overtime and everything in between. And when lockdown happened, then my hours were a bit all over the place. And, you know, back then the rules in Ireland, there was a lot more restrictions and isolations at home. So my whole family was hit with a 2-week isolation. And during those 2 weeks, I just really fell back in love with farming again and being outside. And you know, you're not, I think it was the whole being able to do what I wanted in the fresh air that I just loved. And I loved the whole bringing new life into the world and caring for the animals, because a lot of people like to think that farmers don't care about the animals, but I can definitely say out of my entire family that I'm the most caring. You know, I'm I suppose the only girl then as well, but I'm the one that could be out there all night lying with a sick lamb. I'm a sucker for the pet lambs, and I'm known for them on social media as well, my little pets. But yeah, definitely I love the caring aspect of it, because farmers don't get enough appreciation for the amount of care and, you know, tears shed over animals when they aren't ill or when they aren't healthy, and getting them back up onto their feet. So that's definitely one of my favorite parts, is when you put in the time and effort and they pull through on the other side.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's very heartfelt as well. But I
It
suppose
is, yeah.
you were in care previously, in social care, then you've obviously got that side to you, which massively helps.
Yeah, I always said that what I brought from social care was obviously the caring, but I used to work with a lot of people with intellectual disabilities, which meant having a lot of patience, you know, and working with people. So I also said I brought that aspect to dealing with my dad and my brothers on a daily basis, having a lot of patience when you're moving animals or you're asked to do something and it's always the wrong way, and why did you do that? But no, we get on great at the end of the day.
Yeah, testing times.
It is.
What other sort of hobbies do you have then? I know we'll get onto social media in a second, but what other things, kind of, when you do have time and you're not on the farm or at college, what else do you kind of enjoy doing?
So I'm an Irish dancing teacher as well. So I've danced since I was 3 years old, here in the local parish hall, and competed my whole life at world standard. Absolutely loved it. And then I started teaching it when I was about 16. So I've been teaching now for, well, Jesus, I suppose 10 or 11 years now.
Wow.
So yeah, I have my own little school, and we do we do different competitions like the Flaciol, which is a massive competition here in Ireland for Irish music and dancing. So that's kind of all starting up now again, which is good, because I'm able to focus in on that now when lambing isn't going on, which is great. And then I suppose also we are big into horses here, so we have kind of event type horses, so we like going out on cross country rides and hunter trials and show jumping and things like that. So they're big kind of pastimes that I enjoy.
Definitely enough to keep you busy then.
Definitely, yeah. No, I'm usually never sitting down this long, so
Right, and then social media then. So you're mostly known for TikTok. How did you kind of get into that, or did you fall into it, or was it
really random? Yeah, like I didn't even have TikTok when it was like a popular thing. I didn't download it. I wasn't even using it. And again, like when I said, when I started like back into the farming loads because of COVID and because of lockdown, I started posting videos. Now, the first type of videos I posted on my page would have been more like, because it was winter time as well, we were out cross countrying or hunting with the horses and things like that, and people loved seeing that kind of stuff. And then we were into lambing, so busy again. So I started kind of looking back now, they're so funny looking back, and then they're so cringe, but like different types of videos, you know, the little pet lambs, and people loved lambs and they loved the lambing videos and things like that. And I suppose then I started the Instagram, but I had my own personal Instagram, like Lorna was saying, you know, the kind of the one, your own life. I never ever had a farming one, and I suppose why I set it up was I'm a bit different, in that I kind of showcase my life as a whole, in that it's not just, you won't come to my page and go through it and know everything there is to know about farming and all the science and all the facts. Like my page is kind of, if the general public were to come, like there's a bit on cute happy footage, there's a bit on, I go through the actual proper farming, you know, I might go through different techniques and things like that. There could be a bit on, I'm building a house at the moment, so I kind of talk about that a bit. So it's kind of like a mixture of things in my life, and I try to make it as relatable as possible. And I think that's how TikTok took off, because it wasn't like me standing there reading off some agriculture science book about farming. It was kind of me as a 27-year-old woman falling back in love with farming and trying out new things, having failures, having successes. You know, it's not always good days on the farm, and I try to showcase everything. And I think that's why the page went so successful. So definitely wasn't expecting it, but it's going well now.
Do you think you'll give up farming and become a full-time dancer? Is that on the card? You wouldn't have
I'll
any
be
content
like,
then.
no, yeah, I know. No, I don't know. I could never. Even people are like, oh, you should like, go off. And all my friends have either gone to Australia or gone to Dubai. But I'm literally building my house. You could count 20 steps from here to where my front door will be. So I'm definitely a home bird. I'll be here on the farm forevermore, whether it's having 100 animals or 5 animals. I'll definitely be involved in agriculture for the rest of my life because it's just something I really enjoy being involved in, and I loved, promoting it in any way, shape or form on social media. And you'd be getting young and older girls and women messaging me, looking for advice and how they should handle a situation. Like, I mean, I went back, I'm just finished actually since Tuesday, but I went back and did the green cert, which is the certificate farmers get here in Ireland. So I went back, like people do that when they're 18, and I went back and did it because I wanted to do it and I wanted to have it. And you'd have young 17-year-old girls saying, oh, I'm finishing school now this year, I'd love to go into farming or agriculture, but I feel like, the lads will mock me or make fun of me or I won't be taken seriously. So that's why I love like pushing it as much as possible. And at the start it wasn't easy. Like, I mean, you'd get a lot of hate, but I think I was fine with it because I am 27. I'm not 15 or 16. It's not going to affect me the same way. So that's why I try to show as much as possible. Even now I have young boys. I mean, I have neighbors here who are 10 and 11 years old and think that I'm the best farmer ever, so it's trying to like show even not just girls and women, but show men, having men and boys like even commenting on my videos being like, oh, I love your tractor, or oh, that's a nice sheep, trying to get that positive attitude around women being in work clothes and wellies and out farming and this kind of thing. Because sometimes it's like, oh, you get the comments, go in and make me dinner or go in and put on the kettle, and it's kind of like, do it yourself. But no, and I think as well, I'm lucky that I didn't have that growing up because I have a very supportive dad, very supportive mom. I have 3 great brothers who I'm out with every day, whether it's with the horses or with the sheep or cattle. So I suppose it was a shock for me that it's other girls are suffering or other girls don't get the correct treatment that they should be. So and women as well, there's plenty. I know all my friends, it's their moms that are doing all the milkings morning and night, it's not the dads. So yeah, credit deserved definitely on the girls and the women that are out there doing it, because it's definitely not always easy. So
no, for sure, no, absolutely. While we're talking about easy, do you guys have any farming hacks? So Katie, I will leave you to have a drink of water. Lorna, back to you. But yeah, if you had 3 farming hacks, what would they be? What makes your life easier?
Being organized but cutting yourself some slack at the same time. Especially like at the moment, there's loads of little jobs that I probably at other times of year would be getting on and doing around the farm or around the house, but it's not going to happen. So try and be as organized as possible, but also like when it's busy, just don't get stressed over things that aren't the priority, I guess.
Those jobs are always going to be there, and then that's they'll be there when you've got time for them.
Good communication. So we have a WhatsApp group with our vet, and so he just likes to check in. So rather than ringing us at the moment when we're calving, he'd rather send us a WhatsApp message just to say, is everything going okay? Do you need any help with anything or whatever? And if we've had any total proteins done or we've had any bloods done, he puts all the results on there as well. So communicating well, especially like at the moment with us being tired, still communicating properly. And there'll be times where we're both a bit snappy and a bit short-tempered, and we'll sort of say something and then we'll say sorry immediately afterwards. so that, you know, the other person doesn't think it's actually at them. It's just, you know, being overtired a little bit at the minute. So I think, you know, communicating well with people by whatever means you can is good. And I'm a bit of a obsessive about spreadsheets, I'll be honest. I have a bit of a thing about the spreadsheets. And so I like to have everything, like so like for instance for now, like when would it have been, like a month ago, I went on to Herdwatch and I downloaded all my reports, and then I've literally got a spreadsheet that I highlight everybody off as they carve and everything, and it's just like, A, it's a spreadsheet, and B, it's like a visual tactile thing that like I can see everybody moving out of the dry group and into the milking group. So things like that float my boat a bit. Really
being very organized then by the sounds of it.
Yeah. And you know, and I have one where I literally like just list the numbers of the cows and when they calved, and then is some people would see it as a negative thing, but it's I've got a tick box basically for like if there's been any issues. So like if we've had a milk fever, if we had difficult calving, if she had twins, if the calf was backwards, and I literally have a tick box. And it's because we're so busy that when we get to the end of the calving season and we have our post calving pre-breeding meeting with our vet, the worst thing is to sit there and go, oh well, I think we might have had 4 cows with milk fever, or I think maybe we had a couple of retained membranes or something. Whereas I've made it like such a quick and easy thing to do that literally I can just literally, it's really nice because I've got all the cows listed, and then sometimes the entire page has got no ticks on it. So I go, oh well, that was a really good little run of carvings we had there, nothing went wrong. But you know, whereas some people think it's a negative thing that I'm highlighting things that went wrong, but it's like, well no, because some of these things you could change quite easily. We had 3 milk fevers last week, and it was just, we just tweaked the diet ever so slightly, the milk fevers have gone. So, you know, it's just when you're so busy, you can lose track of things. So, and that's all information again, like I'll put all that on the WhatsApp group with the vet in advance of the meeting. So he kind of knows, you know, maybe he can go away and have a little think about why a few things happened this year as well. So yeah, I guess that'd be about it really.
No, fab. And Katie?
So I suppose making my life easier, like I say, I kind of got into it. I'm not going to say late in life because I'm only 27, but compared to like people who went into agriculture school when they were like 18 or 19, you know, I feel like around my area, yes, I have friends that are interested in farming and interested in horses and everything, but I actually didn't really have like friends that I could text and be like, oh, did you ever see this in an animal? You know, what do you think? Or get people's advice. And it really wasn't until I joined social media and I met like so many different people. We actually just we've had a reunion nearly every year. People come from all over Ireland. We go to different places, and you know, things like the group chats. Now that's the equivalent of like, you know, your farm discussion group. You know, they're situated everywhere. Just having people that you can text or message, get advice, has anyone seen this kind of thing, you know, that definitely helped me a lot this year and last year. And then I suppose as well, I wanted to get more involved in my community as well and get more kind of knowledge in farming. So I joined MACRA, which is like the equivalent of Young Farmers. So joined MACRA, which I thoroughly enjoyed. You get all the discussions, there's different activities, met loads of people in my area that are farmers. It's just making those connections, because it does help, because, you know, farming can be long when you're in the calving or lambing seasons. It can be lonely. You're not, you know, if you had these people that you can chat to, it makes everything much easier. And then I suppose in terms of the Green Start, there was so many projects throughout the 2 years, and one aspect of the flock watch within Herdwatch that I didn't cop it, or I didn't think of it till about maybe 6 months in, and I was devastated, but was using, so in some certain projects we had to do farm maps, and we had to talk about our land, and we had to talk about what we were doing in different fields and such. And it was the aspect of the app where, you know, you can map out your fields and you can get the hectares and things like that, and to be able to kind of go onto my phone and screenshot them off that, and I was able to input them into my project, you know, as in comparison to other people had to like draw them out by hand and, you know, go research into their paperwork to see, you know, I know now a lot of farmers know them, but we certainly wouldn't know the exact measurements of all our fields where we are. And it would just made everything so much easier, and I was able to do it so much faster than having to go look through the records. And I suppose in terms of record keeping then, we're trying to move everything to online or digital as much as possible now. So I suppose before, me and my brothers have been old enough, a lot of the things, my dad is great for writing things down, like a lot of that generation. And, you know, the pieces of paper or the diary, right, or the calendar up on the wall, writing down when the sheep were served, or, you know, when the sponges have to go in or come out. And it just drove me mad having to count the days on the calendar up on the wall, you know, when you could literally have it on the app. So like, you know, we can check if Dad said, oh, when are they due? When is the first one due to lamb? You can literally go in and check on the phone in 10 seconds, as opposed to having to go through all the books or search for things that way. So it's just way more efficient, and it just definitely helps a lot. And, you know, you can check that from anywhere. You could be 10 miles from home and be able to check up on your stock and all the records from, you know, the last year on it, which is definitely a help.
Yeah, and I think that reduces the arguments as well.
Oh,
it's a fact.
Yeah.
It's in the phone. Oh gosh. No, right. Guys, if you've got any questions, I suppose please put them in the comments box, or the Q&A box, or the chat box at the bottom. There is a comment here to you both, which says that you're rock stars, which you are, both of you, to be fair. And it's just lovely that you're communicating with your vet, Lorna, which is, yeah, very true. I suppose that open conversation massively helps productivity and just general welfare on farm.
But is the only downside is that something will happen, and I'll put a message on there, and I don't mean for my vet to reply straight away. Sometimes it's more like, well, tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
I'll get messages back from him at 10 o'clock at night sometimes, and I'm like, you didn't have to reply right now. It was just an FYI. But like, he does kind of, yeah, he's a bit of a workaholic on that, and you know, he will be there replying late at night to things, and it's like, I didn't really mean for you to reply now. It was for when you're tomorrow. So just have it outside. And that cow has now calved, by the way. I can see
has it? Great.
She's actually
Oh, great.
Congratulations.
Another one straight off the list.
I have another question for you both here as well. So what are the biggest challenges facing women in agriculture, do you think? Both of you. Katie, do you want to go first?
I suppose, like, you know, certain people, I'm not going to mention a specific gender, you know, love to say that, you know, why is there a day for women in agriculture, and why do women get all these benefits and things like that? And I suppose, you know, it's not so much as like promoting women above men. It's the fact that we're down here right now and men are here. It's just trying to bring us up to their level, I think, more so, and just trying to entice young girls into it, because at the moment, like, you know, I was only there not so long ago myself. There is stigma there. And again, it's not everybody, but you'll always remember the negative comments over the positive ones. And that's just the way our brains seem to work. So I think it's just kind of getting that impression into everybody's minds that this is just a normal thing now, having women going into the area, which is like you know, whether you're actually farming or whether you're just, you know, you could be marketing for an agri company, or, you know, you don't have to be a farmer to be a woman in agriculture. You could be any sector across. So I think it's just getting rid of that stigma and just having that option for young girls to go into the sector confidently and being proud of themselves for doing it.
I think there's a lot of trouble still, like a careers level in secondary school here in the UK. So we have an apprentice who, when she came to doing her work experience week, the school were very much like, oh, well, there's a hairdresser's or a nail bar or those kinds of beauty places that will take students for work experience. And she said, I don't want to do that. I want to go on a farm and do my work experience on a farm. And she got zero support from school. So we arranged it ourselves privately. And so they were quite pleased after she'd done her work experience with us. We wrote a nice letter back to the school explaining what she'd been doing and everything else. But then when it came to like her choosing her colleges, again, she got no support from the school because she said she wanted to go to an ag college. And the young men in her class who wanted to go to ag college got the support and she didn't. And so we actually ourselves helped her with, we took her to the open days, we helped her with her application, we looked at the choices for her depending on what her grades were going to be and stuff. And I think there's still a lot of work to be done at that level. And what worries me is that I experienced that myself at A level, and I'm now like 40, and it's still happening now, 20 odd years later. So I think there's a lot of work to be done in that kind of careers sector in education, that actually there are jobs, and it's not necessarily, like Katie said, it's not necessarily like the hands-on on a farm job, but it's all the other bits that feed into farms. They all need staff. And, you know, whether it's a feed company, whether it's vets, whether it's sundries companies, like, you know, there's so many options and so many job roles out there. And it's a real shame that if these young girls who would like to do something like that aren't getting the support at that level, because if they get put off then, you've then lost them. And that's the trouble. Like, if we're having a labour issue in agriculture at the moment, like, and then you've got schools actively putting off or not supporting young girls who want to come into the industry, we're losing labour before they've even got to us. And so I think there's like, and I don't know how you go about it, but I think there's some real work to be done there at that kind of level.
No, completely agree. As you say, it's not your typical old MacDonald farmer. That's just not it anymore. And there are so many different avenues you can go down within agriculture. Like, there's fantastic software that you could work for instance.
Well, yeah.
And I think as well, what I love doing on my page is just showing that you don't have to, there isn't a certain type of farmer either. Like, I'm definitely not your stereotypical farmer with my nails and my blonde hair, and, you know, I'm known on TikTok for doing my transformations. You know, I could be in farm clothes and then, like, you know, click the fingers and I'm into my going out outfit. And it's like trying to break this stereotype of you have to be a certain type of farmer, and if you're not, we're not going to take you seriously. So definitely any young girls, you know, you can just be yourself. Like, there's no requirement on how a farmer should look or act or dress or anything. Just, you know, do what you love, which is farming and looking after your animals.
No, for sure. If you both had one piece of advice to give fellow women in agriculture, what would you give them?
So I suppose, like, if I was to tell my younger self again, it would be to not be afraid to go into the area. You know, even if you're not taken seriously when you're finishing, you know, secondary school or whatever you're in, that doesn't last forever. I mean, the last 2 years I spent in agricultural college, everybody was there for the same reasons, whether you're a boy or a girl, or, you're an older woman, there was maybe 30% of my year were women over the age of 35. So, and older men, you know, I think it's hard for young girls to get past sometimes the fear of going into the sector, but it's just realizing that you're not a teenager forever. You know, you're gonna go into agricultural college or wherever you go, and you'll forget all about the fears that you did have, and then you'll be, you know, like Lorna, like myself, you know, doing what you love and not caring about what people think, because you know that does happen.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think, yeah, not caring what other people think is is important.
Take
Lorna,
home message.
Yeah, for sure.
I think one thing I struggled with a bit at uni, so there was only one other girl on my course at uni, and I was one of the few non-farmers on my degree course as well. And what I was good at, I could just get on and I could just do all day long. So like anything to do with dairy cows, I could just completely immerse myself in. But because there was obviously things about arable and crop science and everything else, I didn't understand as well. I kind of was embarrassed to ask people because I was like the non-farmer. I was kind of embarrassed to ask, and I think in retrospect, I should have asked the question, because there was people that would have quite happily sat down with me and explained things like that. And like even now, I mean, we had an agronomist here the other week about a few crops we're going to be growing and stuff. And like the amount of questions I had to ask him now, because I don't have that background knowledge, I think just at the time I should have asked, you know, the question a little bit more, because there was definitely friends on my course who would have helped me out, but I just didn't want to seem, you know, too ignorant about things. I think
that's the other point though, is you've got the agronomist there now, is you will never stop learning either. So don't put that much pressure on yourself. Just there are experts that know the answers to all this sort of things. Right. What are both of your Instagram or TikTok account names? I feel like there's quite a few people asking here, and I should have probably told you earlier.
So I'm waterhane_cows on both TikTok and on Instagram. I don't really go on TikTok. I'm still learning. So again, that was just one of those things that somebody said to me about, was like, oh, there's all these farmers on TikTok. And I was like, oh, well, I'll register myself, but then I forget to actually go on there, to be honest. So yeah, so no, that's what I go by at the moment.
And Katie?
And mine is, so it's the letter K and then the number 8_EEEE. So that's like Kate E. Just think of it that way. It's my name, just with, I see, this is what I mean. When I set up TikTok, I didn't think that people would be asking for my username. So I just literally did the one thing that was available that like represented my name. So it's just K8EEEE. Katie. So don't forget that. And that's the same on both TikTok and Instagram again.
Amazing. Fab. Well, thank you both so much. I'm gonna let you run off and probably go for some dinner, and then go back and check the cows and the car.
Check the calf, the new calf.
No, but thank you both of you. Really appreciate your time. And yeah, thanks Herdwatch, I suppose, for letting us do this.
No, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, everyone. Thanks, everyone's leaving, but yeah, we'll see you soon.
Thank
you.
Bye.
Bye.